Welcome to Reddit Reads r/ProRevenge. Our first Reddit post is from Deleted. Steal my laundry detergent, hope you like the bleached clothes look. This happened when I was in college back in 2011. I lived in a 4-story dorm that was all guys, about 4,060 guys per floor. Each floor had one laundry room with 3 washers and 3 dryers plus cubbies to store your laundry bag soap while you were washing. A few months into the semester, I noticed my laundry detergent was disappearing faster than it should be. Not a huge deal, but midly annoying. What made it a bigger deal was that whoever was stealing my detergent would also take my clothes out of the washer and leave them on the floor so they could wash their clothes. This pushed me over the line. I would typically do a load while I went to class, not classes. So this made finding the perp tricky. Then a golden idea hit me. I went to Walmart and bought a new jug of laundry detergent, the same brand I always get, but I also bought extra strength bleach. I poured half the detergent from the new bottle into my old bottle and replaced it with the extra strength bleach. That next day, I did my laundry as usual, but left the new and improved detergent in the cubby instead of my regular stuff. Then I waited. After class, sure enough, my clothes were sitting in a pile on the floor soaking wet, and the whole laundry room smelled of bleach, just what I wanted. Fast forward to the next week. Every Monday night we had floor meetings where we basically talked about rules and crap as a floor. In walks the guy, we'll call him Bob. Bob drops his pile of ruined clothes on the floor and starts spouting off about how someone owed him money for his ruined clothes. The whole floor bursts out in laughter. Apparently I wasn't the only one Bob was stealing soap from. He didn't get another sentence out of his mouth before our RA told him stealing detergent was still a crime, so it was his own damn fault. Enjoy your bleached clothes, Bob. TL Drive guy on my floor was stealing my detergent. I mixed it with bleach and ruined his clothes. Edit, thanks for the silver. Also updated to clarify, I went to class, not classes. Edit 2, thank you for the gold, kind stranger. This comment is from 30 Aneds around. A crappy apartment I lived in back in the early 2000s had storage units and laundry in the basement. One day I was rummaging around in my storage unit when I saw a neighbor girl come down and put her load of clothes in the dryer, put in some coins, and leave. A little bit later, another scumbag neighbor come down. He stopped the dryer cycle, took her clothes out and threw them on the ground, then took his stuff out of another washing machine and stick it in the dryer the girl had just paid for. And then he left. Well, this calls for a little vigilante justice. I had a few little bottles of liquid as prank stink spray. If you've ever experienced it, you know that just a tiny little squirt can clear a room. I went and dumped an entire bottle all over his clothes, then restarted the dryer cycle so that I went back down and checked the basement a few hours later, and the guy's clothes were piled in the trash. The dryer stunk too still, so I put a buck in and let it run empty. It aired out fine, so no one else had to suffer. Edit to those who are commenting, why didn't I just switch them back out, or why did I leave her clothes on the floor? I mainly wanted to ruin this guy's shit in the hopes that he'd be scared to ever do this again, and B, if I had moved her clothes it would have looked like she did it. And I know that he knew who she was because the time between her leaving and him entering was maybe 10 seconds. Unless you took off at a full sprint, there's no way you could be out of the line of sight of anyone walking towards the basement steps in that amount of time. This comment is from Mercutios Girl, or Chatted Good. This comment is from Hookman. Your story reminded me of one of my experiences living in an apartment building. Where I lived, the owner had 2 buildings side by side. The laundry room was in the other building, so I sat in the laundry room and timed how long the washer and dryer took, so I could go get my clothes immediately after they were done. Never did laundry if I had to leave my apartment. I had just put my clothes in the dryer, and I went back to my apartment to watch some Netflix while I waited for the dryer cycle to finish. I accidentally fell asleep I come back to my clothes not in the dryer, but folded neatly on the table in the laundry room. Some lady had to dry off her clothes, and mine were done, so she took my clothes out, put her clothes in, and then folded my clothes. Thanks, Miss Chloe. I appreciated you back then, but I didn't know how much I should have appreciated you until I read horror stories about other people. Now, a word from today's sponsor. Surfshark is an all-around VPN solution that can do everything from torrenting as well as streaming to browsing the dark web. Surfshark is one of the very best all-round VPN, terrific for Netflix, torrenting, confidential browsing, as well as staying safe on public Wi-Fi. Check out Surfshark today, link is in the description. Now back to the video. Our next Reddit post is from Sharkbait1999. Trashy tenants moved out of parents' property in the middle of the night. Few months later, I got them on social media. Tenants on the trashy side had been living at parents' property for a while. After a cash windfall, they decided it was time to move out. Fine. Whatever. They start complaining and being late on rent, mold, etc., and take us to court. They never show up to court. This elongates the process, so they end up basically living for free in our house while taking us to court for poor living conditions. I know, right? A few months go by until they have to go to court. One of them shows up crying that their baby is dying of the mold, blah blah. Judge goes in on her saying you've been living there rent-free for over 6 months. If her baby is sick, why don't you leave? Case gets thrown out, they go to pay back rent. Literally, that night they get a U-Haul and leave town. I followed their every move on IG knowing they were eventually gonna slip up. A few weeks go by and they start posting pics of their house and such. Eventually, they put a location on one of their pics. Bad move, honey. Bless your heart. Got on Google Earth, found street, found actual house by matching the red door to one of their pics. Sent it to lawyer. Motherfuckers got served, and the guy had to sell his vintage car to pay us back. This comment is from Kevin Reams. Awesome. Short and sweet. Like sweet justice. This comment is from Infernerd. Nice, sounds like you were committed to not letting these people screw you over, but what I'm really concerned about is their son. Do you know anything else about it? This comment is from Sharkbait1999. I was not about to let that one slide. And the kid was all messed up from the get-go. Pretty sure mommy was smoking and drinking during pregnancy. Our next Reddit post is from Billiam1201. $10 and a pencil. A post I made in another subreddit reminded me of this one. Enjoy. A few years ago, after changing jobs, I found myself in a new office with a new phone number. After some orientation training and other new hire stuff, I finally get to sit down and do the things. I get my voicemail and answering machine set up the email, and the phone rings. Good morning, railroad engineering. Yeah, when can I take the GED test? Sorry, wrong number. Click. Rings again. Seriously, when can I take the GED test? Like I said, wrong number. Bye. This went on for weeks. 15-20 calls a day. People screaming at me for not being the adult learning center. One day, an epiphany. This isn't the adult learning center. Nope. Do you know the number? Check Google. I did. Oh, really? A little Google foo of my own. And I dig up a few numbers and give them a call. They tell me that they don't maintain their website, and there's nothing they can do about it, and it's not their problem. I'm just going to have to deal with it. My favorite line of that conversation was, "What are you going to do about it? I work for the state." You can't do naughty word. Bye-bye. And you can imagine that Bobby just dripped with the condescension that only hubris and decades of Karenhood can muster. Oh, hell no. Let's dance. The next day. Good morning, railroad. When can I take the GED test? We give that on request. It takes about an hour and a half. Come on down. Oh, awesome. How much it? $10. Bring a pencil. We'll sharpen yours, but we can't supply them. Budget cuts, you know. Nah, I get it. See you in a bit. Take your time. They don't like me telling you this, but if you get here before we close, they have to give you the test. See you when you get here. Thanks, man. See you later. Now, for those of you who don't know, the GED test takes a whole naughty day. It also usually costs upward of $100 depending on the state. In the state I was living and working at the time, it was around $200. As such, it was only offered at certain intervals. So as I was telling dozens of people per day that it was 10 to 90 minutes and offered on request, I'm sure that they were absolutely inundated with angry people with freshly sharpened 2 pencils, waving their 10 bills and demanding the test that the guy on the phone told them they could come and take. Every morning I checked the website to see if my phone number was still on there. I also took the liberty of crawling around and getting the phone numbers for some managers. I was happy to hand these out when people called back to complain that they hadn't been allowed to take the test. Head back down there and ask to speak to random director and tell them that they called the number on the website and this is what they were told. It took them about 6 more weeks to change the website. For some reason, all of the managers' numbers disappeared from the website as well. This comment is from Curmudgeon 160. Many years ago, I rented a house where the previous renters had been a couple of doctors out of Harvard Medical School. They got an absolute ton of junk mail. When they moved, they thought I'd be clever and selectively file of moved notices and let all their junk mail keep filling up my mailbox. I called them and asked them to file with the post office to forward all their mail, and they told me to F off. I started writing deceased on all mail that came to them and tossing it back in the mailbox. About 6 months later, I got a very angry phone call from them because apparently one of the pieces of mail was from Harvard for their 10-year reunion. Because I had written deceased on the mail to them, which they had thought to file an individual forwarding notice, for they were listed as deceased in the Where Are They Now part of the materials handed out at the reunion. This comment is from Drerar. My wife and I keep getting mail addressed to random people at our street address. The bizarre thing about this is that until we built our house and moved in this year, it was a virgin unbuilt lot. I don't know how anybody thinks somebody lived here before us unless they were in a tent. We've tried straightening it out with the post office, but they say they can do nothing about it. I have to say I like the solution of writing deceased on all of the mail and sending it back. This comment is from Harsuchi. Proof: going to Harvard doesn't actually makes a better human. That was Reddit Reads r/ProRevenge. If you like this content, please subscribe and click the bell icon so you are notified of new uploads. We upload new videos every day. Also subscribe to our Patreon, as that will help us a lot. See you next time.